Today, we're going to dive into one of history's most important figures, a name you probably know, Hammurabi. But the story behind the name, well, that's something else entirely. We're talking about the king who literally wrote the law in stone.
An eye for an eye, you've heard it a million times, right? It's kind of a shorthand for this tough, tit-for-tat kind of justice. But where did it come from? I mean, who first said that?
Well, to find out, we've got to take a trip. A big one. We're going back almost 4,000 years, all the way to the cradle of civilization, to ancient Mesopotamia and the kingdom of Babylon.
All right, so let's meet the man himself. This is Hammurabi. He was the sixth king of Babylon's first dynasty, and he took the throne way back around 1792 BCE. But here's the thing, he was so much more than just a king. He was really an architect of an entire society, and he built something that was designed to last forever.
And this is just incredible. I mean, think about it. These laws weren't hidden away on some dusty scroll. No way. They were carved into this huge 7-foot-tall stone monument for everyone to see. And that image at the top, that is so important. It shows Hammurabi getting the laws directly from Shamash, the god of justice. The message couldn't be clearer. Hey, these aren't just my rules, these are the god's rules.
Okay, but before Hammurabi could become this legendary lawgiver, he had to be something else first, a conqueror. You see, the world he was born into is a total mess. It was chaotic, broken up into rival kingdoms, all fighting for power.
You know, it's easy for us to look back and think of Babylon as this huge, powerful empire. But when Hammurabi first took the throne, it really wasn't. It was kind of a modest city-state, and it was totally overshadowed by the real big shots at the time, places like Larsa and Mari. So Hammurabi, he had to play it smart.
And this is what I find so fascinating about his rise. He didn't just rush into war. Not at all. He played the long game. For years, his first focus was just on making Babylon stronger, building up fortifications, making sure the irrigation canals worked. Then he moved into diplomacy, making all these strategic alliances. It was only after all that preparation, we're talking decades, that he finally went on the offensive, systematically taking down his rivals and even his old friends.
And the result of all that? It was absolutely staggering. He used this incredible mix of cunning, patience, and, pretty brutal military campaigns to stitch together Mesopotamia into one of the biggest empires the region had ever seen.
Okay, so he's built this massive empire. Now what? Well, now he's got to run it. He needed a way to govern all these different people he'd conquered. And his solution? Well, it's the reason we're still talking about him today. 282. Just let that number sink in. 282 laws. This wasn't some simple list of thou shalt nots. This was a complete legal blueprint for running a super complex society. The scale of it is just wow. And right at the core of all these laws was a principle called lex talionis, fancy Latin for the law of retaliation. It's that eye for an eye idea. Now, I know, to our modern ears, that sounds incredibly harsh, but you have to understand, at the time, it was a huge leap forward. It was designed to make punishment proportional, to stop endless cycles of revenge where one tiny insult could spiral into a clan war. The goal was to make the punishment literally mirror the crime.
But here's the big question, right? Was this justice actually fair for everyone? Well, the short answer, which is carved right there on that stone, is a hard no. This code shows us a society where justice was definitely not blind.
I mean, just look at this breakdown. It's all about who you were. If you were a nobleman and you put out the eye of another nobleman, okay, eye for an eye, you lose your eye. But if that same nobleman put out the eye of a commoner, he just had to pay a fine. And if the victim was a slave, the fine was even smaller, and it went straight to the slave's owner. So yeah, your place in society determined everything.
And this code wasn't just about crime and punishment. Not at all. It covered basically every aspect of life. We're talking commerce, wages for workers, rules for marriage and family, property rights, even things like builder accountability. There was a law that said if a builder built a house and it collapsed and killed the owner, the builder himself could be executed. It was designed to manage, well, everything.
So beyond the battlefield in the courtroom, Hammurabi was also a brilliant administrator. He knew it took more than armies and laws to hold an empire together. You have to build the foundation.
And he really focused on 4 key things. 1, keeping the irrigation canals working because, hey, no water, no food, no empire. 2, boosting trade to make the kingdom rich.
3. Strengthening the cities to keep people safe. And 4. Promoting Babylon's main god Marduk to give everyone a shared culture and religion. It was a really smart, all-encompassing strategy.
And because he did all this, Babylon became more than just the capital city. It truly became the beating heart of Mesopotamia, the center for politics, for culture, for religion. It was the place to be.
So, what's history's final verdict on Hammurabi? Well, funny enough, his actual empire didn't last long after he died. But his ideas, especially his ideas about law, oh, they were just getting started.
And, believe it or not, for thousands of years, this incredible stone monument was just lost, buried and forgotten. It wasn't until 1901 that archaeologists found it. And can you imagine? Suddenly, we had this perfect window, a direct look right into the world of ancient Babylon.
So let's break down why this was such a game changer. The truly revolutionary part wasn't just what the laws said, it was the fact that they existed in this form at all. The laws were written down, they were put out in public, and they created one standard for the entire empire. Even if it was an unequal standard, it was a huge step away from a world where a king could just make up the rules as he went along. This is the beginning of the rule of law.
And Hammurabi himself tells us why he did it. He literally wrote on the stone that his goal was so that the strong might not oppress the weak. He wanted to create a system to protect people. Now, we can argue about how well he succeeded, but the ambition itself, the idea of using law to create order and shield the vulnerable, that was profound. And that really brings us to the present day, doesn't it? Because those core ideas he pioneered, that laws need to be written down, made public, and used by the government to keep order, I mean, that's the foundation of almost every legal system on the planet today. So it makes you wonder, when you look at our own world, our own laws, how much of Hammurabi's 4,000-year-old vision are we still living with?